Talk about the way you're doing kind of decentralized journalism, because yeah, it's live Twitter Spaces. Yeah, you've got lots of different people contributing, but you're also sourcing all of these places from around the world where a mainstream media network would never do that.
Man, look, I have to give you credit. Man, you ask spot on questions. Exactly. Like, it is decentralized journalism. So news outlets, and I don't want to, there's a place for them. We use them as sources. They do a great job. They vet information. They have their biases, conflicts of interest. But there's a need for them in the world. They hold politicians accountable. They bring a lot of good with a lot of flaws. Remember, I'm probably one of the most vocal people or actively competing with them. But they're centralized. And as soon as you centralize something, you've got the imperfections in humanity that could impact it. You centralize censorship, great. If you have a group of people that decide, hey, this is hateful content, shouldn't be there. This is illegal content, child pornography, shouldn't be there. But what if it's conflicts of interest or their own biases, as we saw with X and the Twitter files? When that starts to start creeping in, the biases of a human brain, then it becomes very dangerous. And I think people underestimate how censored the world we live in is. And we've both fallen victim to it. You more than I. So we've decentralized it in very interesting ways that I've never talked about, I think, maybe once or twice on stage. Where do we get our news? We get it from various sources. We get our own, similar to news outlets, but from the audience as well. We go through the comments during a space. When we're covering the mutiny, people on the ground will send us information. My team will validate their identity. Audience members of CNN don't send them information. They listen to it. It's a one-way communication. Us is two ways. It's very easy for them to send us DM with information, images, videos, and then we verify, and suddenly we have the information raw from the source. So when we have 100 or whatever thousand people listening live, and that's without people streaming it on other platforms. I'm talking about the mutiny. There's a lot of these people that are in Russia. Obviously mine is English, so Russian speaking will probably, unless they speak English, probably not be sending us information. But people in Ukraine, people in Russia, people in the US that had information, because people from the intelligence, helping us, Mario, there's that warplane you guys missed, check it out on the map. Holy shit, we send it to our team, to our OSINT guys, the open source, open source intelligence, yeah. Open source intelligence. They analyze that information, like, holy shit, there is that plane. Then we NASA on the space. We have that from the source that we've validated. So our audience becomes a source of information. Our audience also starts to fact check us. We say something on stage that's wrong. We get DMs or comments, Mario, this is wrong. It's actually X, Y, Z. And the same happens to our tweets. To add on to our audience becomes our guest. As I said earlier, people from the audience request. And I always tell people, make sure if you want to come up on stage, request, but also DM me so the team can verify you, unless obviously we see the account, we know who that is. And then we start validating people. That's how we have a lot of our guests. A lot of them are not. So our team is reaching out. We have a massive team in the background, expensive, time-consuming, that does a lot of the work. But also a lot of it is raw. So now our audience feeds us information that we validate, fact checks us, and becomes our guest. I don't think it can become more decentralized than that. And this is why it's such a fundamental shift from how news is shared right now that it's hard to compete with us. I'll give you an example. Competing with social media is impossible right now because they dominate it. Meta, Twitter, etc., TikTok. But decentralized social media decentralizes the foundation of social media. So then if you change something foundational about a certain industry, fax and the internet, for example, fax cannot compete with the internet because it's a foundational shift of the technology that fax cannot just incorporate it into their machine. With us, we've changed the foundation of how news is shared, of how news is validated, we've made it more open source. Mainstream news, it goes against their whole business model to replicate what we do, which we're a competitor, but we're a fundamentally different form of competitor that makes it impossible for them to compete. So that's an edge that is kind of ingrained into what we do beyond the being unbiased, because everyone could try to be unbiased as well. That's something that's not easy to replicate, but it's replicatable. But not everyone could decentralize it the same way we in X Spaces did.
There's probably real comparisons from Web 2 to Web 3 here, real comparisons in blockchain and crypto and Web 3.
Exactly. I've done I do a lot of crypto events. I did one in the last couple of months in Costa Rica. we agreed on it a long time ago, so I went there and did it. And I kind of shifted the speech to talk about, you want to understand real decentralization. Well, this is a perfect example. And then if you add the blockchain to it and information comes on the chain, because then we still control what we verify, what we validate. So that we can open source it even further if we want to. And if we continue to grow, I don't want to centralize the power within my control. So I'd want to open source that aspect as well.
Right, so maybe a DAO, maybe even ownership somehow by the community. That's what's maybe missing in what you're doing.
Exactly, there's no rush in it, it's too early, but I don't want to rush decentralization to launch a token and make money. That's not even something we're discussing internally. But if we continue to grow, I don't want me to become the arbiter of truth. Even though I'm, like right now, personally, I control the information. Yeah. I make sure that things are balanced. The I still exists. And what if I'm no longer here? What if my biases start becoming too strong as I get older? So I want to remove that I and decentralize as much as I can.
I'm looking for partners, collaborators, colleagues who want to join forces with me around the globe and create real value, generational wealth, and financial freedom for everyone else around the world. Get involved in the cryptocurrency markets, get involved in the NFT markets. This is your moment. Life all comes down to a few moments. Don't let this pass. Now it's not too late. Next year's going to be too late. Ultimately, this is about freedom. That's the way I see it. This is about giving power back to the people and enabling billions of people worldwide to use the financial markets to improve their lives and those of their friends and their families and their communities. Honestly, I think it's a violation of human rights not to allow people basic access to financial services. Because right now people are being kept in the dark, they're being robbed of education, and it's a travesty. And so I'm looking for people that want to join me and be a part of this solution. And that all happens inside the DeFi Academy. The gains my students are making are absolutely amazing. Double, triple digit gains in the first month alone. That's amazing. This will change your life. Now is the time to get involved. I'm going to tell you exactly how my students in my academy made money in the last 30 days. I'm talking about real trading results. And let me just whet your appetite a little bit. Let me hit you with some numbers. I'm talking Brendan from New Zealand is up 68.77% on the month. Steve from Europe up 83%. Albert in Singapore up 169.9% on one single trade. I got Susan up 153% on her call options alone, also rocking 139% returns and 442% returns as well on individual trades. These are people that are changing their financial future in the last 30 days, but it's based on trading discipline.
I've graduated over 500 students from inside my academy from over 54 countries around the world. It's amazing. When it comes to crypto, DeFi, and blockchain, we love this space. We truly believe it's the future. This is down to our core. It's authentic to what we're doing, and everybody can tell through the camera because you can't make this stuff up.
If you're watching me now, wherever you are, I implore you, take 60 seconds right now and join my academy. Apply today. Now you've got a chance. Life all comes down to a few moments. What are you going to do? What's the choice that you're going to make?